WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar, Monrovia, and Accra, 7 p.m. in Abuja and Porto Novo. Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Ghana's Ministry of Health appeals to retired nurses and midwives to volunteer their services amid the ongoing nurses' strike to cater for patients.
Given the urgency of the situation and suffering of the patients, government appeals to public-spirited retired nurses and midwives to volunteer their services for a brief period pending the resolution of the impasse.
New movement emerges in Mali to demand return to constitutional order amid cancellation of party politics. Burkina Faso's President Captain Ibrahim Traoré rallies for African unity amid formation of AES anthem, and Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria set to sweep out 34 foreign embassies in Abuja over unpaid grounds rents.
The premises of an embassy, their furnishings, and other property, and even their means of transport, their vehicles, shall be immune from such requisition.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Christopher Aticho with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and a warm welcome to our listeners in the sub-region and beyond. Newslink begins with some health matters in Ghana as the Minister of Health, Kwabena Akando, has appealed to retired nurses and midwives to volunteer their services amid the ongoing nurses' strike to support patients in their need of health care, as the nationwide strike by nurses and midwives enters its second week. Speaking at a press briefing at the Flagstaff House today, Mr. Akando reaffirmed the government's commitment to engaging with nurses to achieve a mutually beneficial outcome in the interest of the public. The minister also emphasized that the conditions of service in question were not included in the 2025 national budget. Hence, implementing these demands immediately, he warned, could destabilize the economy and reverse the fiscal gains made so far. Here is the Minister of Health, Kwabena Akando.
Government wishes to stress its readiness to further engage with a view to implementing the conditions of service in a manner that does not dislocate the national budget. We wish to draw attention to the fact that the conditions of service under reference are not captured in the 2025 budget and will completely throw the economy off gear if implemented immediately in the manner it currently exists. We are mindful of the serious economic consequences of unbudgeted expenditure and want to avoid the economic slippages that led to the hardship in the recent past. Government commits to continue to engage with the nurses in order to achieve a mutually acceptable outcome in the interest of the public. The ministry will in the next few minutes publish a comprehensive list of facilities to complement facilities where nursing services are lacking and where patients can seek health care. Given the urgency of the situation and suffering of the patients, government appeals to public-spirited retired nurses and midwives to volunteer their services for a brief period pending the resolution of the impasse. We further express our deep appreciation to practicing nurses who have opted to remain at post to help suffering patients and urge others to show similar fellow feeling.
Ghana's Minister of Health, Kwabena Akando. Still on the nationwide strike issued by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, the association remains unresolved after a failed emergency meeting with the Ministry of Health on Monday. The impasse follows government request to delay implementing improved conditions of service until 2026, an offer the union has rejected. With hospitals and clinics severely affected, patients across the country are bearing the effect of the industrial action. Here is what some patients had to say about the impact.
No, I was hospitalized last time. So the doctor told me to report on the 6th, but I couldn't get time to come. So I made up my mind I'm coming this morning. So I came and paid collect my card, and they gave me paper. They said I should come for consulting room. That is where I am now. There's nobody here. I've been almost about 1 hour ago. I saw nobody. So I'm just sitting before I saw you. I don't know. I had to tell me that they were on strike. I don't know. Like, I won't come. I'm coming from Dakar. The doctor said my liver, that I have some small problem with my liver.
I've been here for about 2 hours now. The patient, actually, the place is very boring. So they are saying that they are on strike. But they are saying maybe they will see how they can try and help us. So as you see, they are entering here. They say we should come and wait here small. But the nurses at the OPD have gone on strike. So we are waiting to see.
Those were some patients expressing their frustration over the ongoing strike. And finally, from Ghana, the family of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is accusing the country's special prosecutor of politically motivated persecution, rights violations, and procedural abuse after he was declared wanted through Interpol despite ongoing or undergoing cancer treatment in the United States. In a strongly worded statement on Monday, June 9, Ofori-Atta's family alleged that the OSP manipulated legal processes to secure an arrest warrant on February 11 without proper documentation and subsequently used a media briefing to label Ofori-Atta a fugitive from justice. They described the action as a violation of both Ghana's constitution and international human rights conventions. WAD House Nadi Detete reports.
At the heart of the controversy is an Interpol red notice issued against Ken Ofori-Atta, which his family claims was pursued without full disclosure of critical facts, including his ongoing cancer diagnosis and scheduled surgery at the Mayo Clinic in the United States. The family says they have submitted a request to Interpol for the red notice to be withdrawn and expunged from its system. They argue that the former minister has not evaded justice and has been open to cooperating with authorities, even offering to provide a video recorded statement while abroad, an offer the OSP declined. According to the family, these actions do not reflect the conduct of a man fleeing justice, while describing the OSP's rejection of virtual cooperation as unfair and unreasonable. The statement portrays the OSP's recent press conference and social media declarations as a premeditated theatrical stunt meant to cast Mr. Ofori-Atta in a negative light. They further accuse the office of suppressing medical evidence and ignoring multiple court proceedings, including a human rights case currently before a Ghanaian court, with a ruling expected on June 18. The family insists that Mr. Ofori-Atta, who served as finance minister from 2017, has consistently submitted to investigations and cleared his name in previous legal matters, including probes by Ghana's parliament and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. The family says it views the current actions by the OSP as part of a vendetta rather than a genuine pursuit of justice. They reaffirmed that once his treatment and recovery are complete, Mr. Ofori-Atta will return to Ghana to face the OSP in person. The Office of the Special Prosecutor is probing Mr. Ofori-Atta over several high-profile cases, including contracts involving petroleum revenue, the National Cathedral Project, ambulance procurement, and handling of GRA tax funds. For WEDR, Nadidi Teti, Accra.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Away from Ghana, let's turn attention to the Sahel, particularly in Mali, where a new movement has emerged advocating for the return to constitutional order in the country. Known as the Patriotic Resistance Front, RPF, the association was announced during the weekend by Aliou Diallo, a Malian businessman and politician currently living in exile. Diallo condemns the junta's dissolution of political parties and is calling for mobilization among the populace. Sankoli Janko completes the story.
Aliou Boubacar Diallo denounces a series of constitutional violations and is calling on Malians to unite in respect for the republican order. The former presidential candidate from 2018 asserts that it is time for the transition to end and that returning to a democratic framework is essential for resolving the current crisis. Diallo describes the Patriotic Resistance Front, RPF, which he represents as a unified movement rather than a political party. He expresses a desire to shed light on the events that led to the current crisis, to acknowledge the suffering experienced by many, to initiate reparations for the victims, and to restore national cohesion through inclusive reconciliation. It is important to note that on May 13, 2025, the transitional authorities issued a decree that abolished all political parties and associations, accusing them of creating divisions and obstructing the national reconstruction process. The action is part of a series of steps that began in late April following a controversial national consultation that recommended abandoning the multi-party system in favor of a unified governance model. Political activities were suspended on May 7 and the formal dissolution of the parties occurred 6 days later. Several legal appeals filed with the Malian courts were rejected, with the Supreme Court upholding the legitimacy of the presidential decree on May 27. The Patriotic Resistance Front may become the first significant voice for civil resistance since the political class was sidelined. However, it remains uncertain how effective its mobilization efforts will be, especially given the limitations on freedom of expression and assembly in Mali.
Sankole Janko filed the report. Meanwhile, the joint anthem of the Confederation of the Sahel State, AES, was officially performed on Monday in the capital of the three-member countries. This event coincided with the raising of the AES flag in Koulouba, attended by Mali's Transitional President General Assimi Goïta. Titled Sahel Benka, the anthem embodies the common values of the Confederation, according to authorities of the Central Sahel region. During the ceremony, Malian Prime Minister Abdoulaye Maiga provided detailed analysis of the AES anthem, stating that the new hymn will be integrated into school curriculum to enhance its popularization.
Hommage au peuple du Sahel.
L'hymne n'est pas une simple composition de mélodie.
The anthem is not a simple melody. Of course, the melody is very pleasant. It's a Sahelian melody. But this anthem has messages and allows to transmit extremely strong values around the peoples of the AES. And I think, at least that's my personal feeling, that with the execution of this theme today, we have the obligation as citizens of the Confederation to appropriate it.
De la Confédération de nous l'approprier. Il y a tout un programme suivant les directives des chefs d'État.
There is a whole program following the directives of the heads of state to popularize this theme in schools, in academic settings, at least everywhere where the anthem should be popularized. We have to appropriate this. We have to master our international hymns, which is an obligation.
Une obligation.
That's Mali's Prime Minister Abdoulaye Maiga. And as a reminder, the performance of the AES anthem was done simultaneously in Bamako, Ouagadougou and Niamey. Now, at the back of the launch of the joint anthem of the Confederation of the Sahel States, President of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has protested against external attempts to undermine unity among the countries of the Alliance of the Sahel States. Here is the President of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré.
L'unité est dure, surtout en Afrique. C'est difficile de s'unir. Mais c'est la solution. Il faut qu'on s'unisse.
Unity is hard, especially in Africa. It is difficult to unite, but it's the solution. We have to unite. Little by little, the AES is continuing on its merry way despite all the difficulties, all the challenges before us. If I were naive, I would ask myself the question, but why don't the imperialists want a disunion? But I'm not naive. They know why, and it's the same question that those who still tend to sleep must ask themselves. Why don't they want us to unite? Was that the Confederation scare or hurt some people? Because we are approached every day by these imperialists to get one of the three to betray the other. We have been faced with this for a long time. Each time, these kinds of maneuvers are there to get you to leave the Confederation, and that should make us think. And when we look at our relationship, there is no friendship, in fact. The world, there are only interests. People only come to us for their interest. We must be very aware of this. We will be fought. They will continue to fight. But we will emerge victorious and strong.
On va nous combattre, on continuera à nous combattre, mais nous sortirons victorieux et forts.
And that's Burkina Faso's President, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. You're still listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world. We are live on WADR.org. We are also live on Facebook at WADR English Service, as well as YouTube at WADR News. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Ghana's Ministry of Health appeals to retired nurses and midwives to volunteer their services amid ongoing nurses' strike to cater for patients. New movement emerges in Mali to demand return to constitutional order amid cancellation of party politics. And Burkina Faso's President, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, rallies for African unity amid formation of AES anthem. And still ahead in the news, Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria set to sweep out 34 foreign embassies in Abuja over unpaid grounds rent. We do have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's take you to Liberia, where former House Speaker Fonati Kofa and 3 other lawmakers were released on a criminal appearance bond after spending 3 nights in the Monrovia Central Prison. The bond, set at $440,000, was secured by sureties Jonda Janet Kofa and Marjan Mona Kofa at the Monrovia City Court on Monday. The lawmakers are facing serious allegations including arson, criminal mischief and attempted murder in connection with the burning of the Capitol building. They include Representatives Duxon Seboa, Abu Kamara, Fonati Kofa and Jacob Deby, who are accused of orchestrating arson attack on the parliamentary building on December 2024. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
Despite the surety bond in place, the defendants are required to appear in court, ensuring their accountability as the legal process unfolds. Following their release, former Speaker Fonati Kofa acknowledged the difficulties of the situation but emphasized that his legal step is crucial for clearing his name.
You take the IG's word for it. He decided to bring this case based on a basket of evidence of innuendos, lies, and misstatements. In the next few weeks, as we go through the preliminary hearing, we will deconstruct those lies and be able to put together a defense that is worth it.
Former President and political leader of the opposition CDC, George Weah, attended the court hearing alongside several opposition leaders. He condemned the treatment of the detained officials, claiming that their incarceration is a violation of their constitutional rights.
The way the lawmakers were treated is wrong, it's unconstitutional. Those people are lawmakers. If you call lawmakers, you took them from the job, waste their time. Lawmakers' time, they're supposed to be working in parliament. Waste their time and then turn around, delay them, and incarcerate them. That is unfair.
Meanwhile, some Liberians gathered outside the court to show solidarity with the lawmakers and their political party, highlighting the populace concern about the ongoing legal proceedings.
We are here in solidarity with the rule of law, and we are also here to inform you people that June 19 is on course.
It was a patriotic decision from the Liberian people. We are excited. Liberia's 4 lawmakers or leaders out today. We are excited about that.
As this high-profile case develops, the focus remains on the implications of these serious allegations and the ongoing call for justice in the Liberian political landscape. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Crossing over to Nigeria, the Federal Capital Territory Administration, led by Minister Nyesom Wike, recently stirred controversy when it threatened to seal off 34 foreign embassies in Abuja over unpaid grounds rent dating as far back as 2014. The FCT claims it is owned by thousands of individuals and institutions and began a sweeping exercise to reclaim lands left unpaid for a period between 10 to 43 years. Affected parties were granted a 14-day grace period by President Bola Tinubu, a period that ended last Friday, June 6th, which happens to fall on a public holiday during the Salah celebration. Yechenu Sesatu has more in this report.
Earlier this year, the FCT administration published a list of over 9,000 property owners owing ground rent, warning that failure to pay could lead to forfeiture of their land. That warning became action on May 23rd when the administration began sealing properties, including prominent ones like the People's Democratic Party (PDP) National Secretariat, over rent debts dating back decades. But the potential sealing of 34 foreign embassies has sparked outrage and concern. Senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights lawyer Femi Falana has cautioned the minister not to move forward with such a plan.
The premises of an embassy, their furnishings, and other property, and even their means of transport, their vehicles, shall be immune from such requisition, attachment, or execution. No court of law can order that execution be levied on any embassy. And Nigeria is part of the international community.
Falana is urging the Attorney General of the Federation and the Foreign Affairs Minister to immediately intervene and advise Minister Wike on the limits of his authority.
There is a tribunal in Abuja, Urbana Regional Planning Tribunal, a standing tribunal constituted by about 5 people, 5 members from the building industry. That is the body in charge of, that has the final say on demolition, on attempt to seal up properties and the rest of them.
Meanwhile, rights group Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has also issued a sharp rebuke to the Wike-led administration, calling the threat unlawful and diplomatically reckless. The embassies named include those of China, Ghana, Germany, India, Saudi Arabia, the European Union, and 28 others. For WADR, Yechenu Sasetu in Abuja.
Politics,
Analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest interview takes us to Ghana on a developing story surrounding the OSP reissuance of a wanted notice for former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, citing his failure to appear for interrogation in connection with the alleged corruption during his tenure. The OSP refused his legal team's request for a virtual interview, insisting on his physical presence. 3 days later, on June 5, Interpol issued a red notice, effectively flagging him as a person internationally wanted for allegedly misusing of public office, covering several high-value deals, including the National Cathedral project and an ambulance procurement contract. However, on Monday, Mr. Ofori-Atta's family publicly condemned the OSP's action as politically motivated, accusing it of suppressing evidence, violating his human rights, and disregarding his serious medical condition, including a cancer surgery scheduled for June 13. Our guest is Edem Senanu, who is the co-chair of Citizens Movement Against Corruption and a member of the AU Advisory Board Against Corruption.
There were 5 cases in which they found our former Minister of Finance to be a key figure that they wanted to question. To that extent, the request was sent to Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta requesting his presence for these interviews to be held. Obviously, it's all part of the information and evidence gathering aspect of the investigations. Now, at the time, the finance minister's response was that he had some health condition and he was going to be operated on, some kind of surgery. The intriguing part of that engagement was that there was no, to the extent of, verifiable external source of the information. The information that was formally handed over was not on a letterhead, did not provide names and contacts of medical professionals who were part of this process and who could be questioned or interviewed for due diligence purposes. They came back and negotiated and said, look, we'll give a specific date because this medical condition will be handled X, Y, Z. The special procedure wanted to put a human face, then gave them the leeway to say, okay, so that's 2nd or 6th June, once he will show himself and answer the question.
about 4 days, I think 28th May, 28th or 29th May, the Lord then wrote and said it was not going to be available on the 2nd of June. By and large, my perspective is that the legal team, together with Mr. Freta, have not handled the engagement with the special prosecutor very well.
As we wait for a credible medical outlet to at least present all of those information, could we be right to say that the finance minister has absconded from justice and therefore is a subject of fugitive?
Well, that's the position that our special prosecutor has taken, because the finance minister and his legal team have failed to live up to their own commitments. It's difficult to tell at this stage. I mean, the reason why the special prosecutor perhaps has taken this stance is that it would appear that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is unwilling to answer questions, because somebody, and as I said earlier, if you have the strength and energy to be engaging your legal team and filing cases at the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, asking them to throw this out and other places, it will seem to suggest that you have the energy to engage. If you are not able to provide the documentation from the medical facility January, February, March, and you waited to 4 days to when you yourself have said you show up, it's questionable. Why would you do that? I mean, it is not the case that the ordinary citizen, I mean the average citizen, invited to a high-profile anti-graft institution of this nature would be taking such risky actions or inactions. You know, I think that once the surgery didn't happen when it was projected to, and it was clear it was not going to, one should have re-engaged together with your medical team to explain what has transpired. So the simple things that ordinarily I would do, and I guess you would do, and why that hadn't happened in this case, to assure the special prosecutor that every effort is being made to make sure that the answers are provided ultimately.
Others are saying that in the face of technological advancement, it would be prudent, or it could be prudent, for the Office of the Special Prosecutor to adopt other virtual interrogatory processes, as his physical presence in Ghana and before the Office of Special Prosecutor that's critical, that any other alternative cannot be used?
Well, I've had two clarifications. One, the electronic law that was being referred to, apparently that law deals with civil cases and not criminal cases. So in terms of the law that would have allowed that, I have been told by the legal persons that, really speaking, the electronic law and what it says can be done, it only applies in civil cases. But in instances where it has to do with criminal issues, the same kind of platform cannot be the acceptable platform. And then there's also those who say that the nature of the interrogation for a suspect at this point, the engagement is supposed to cover the body language. The person is supposed to sign up to certain things. And so the current process in law requires the person to be physically available. So apparently the special prosecutor is just sticking to the legal regime, which is a standard for the average citizen, and saying we don't have those flexibilities at this point. It would not be right to certainly begin to do things that are not what you'd have done in the case of all other such suspects.
Adam Senanu is the co-chair for Citizens Movement Against Corruption and a member of the AU Advisory Board Against Corruption. And in sports this evening, a historic moment for the people of Bibini as Gold Stars FC have officially written their names into the history books by winning their very first Ghana Premier League title. It all happened on the final day of the 2024-2025 season, and what a statement they made, crashing out Accra Lions 4-0 in front of a roaring crowd at Dance Park. Now, this new move means that they are not just league winners, but they are headed to the 2025-2026 CAF Championship League, flying Ghana's flag on the continental stage for the very first time. And that ends it for this evening's edition of Newslink here on 94.9 FM, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal, West Africa Democracy Radio. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Fali Luso and Shek Jai for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook at WADR English Service. I am Christopher Aticho. Good evening and enjoy the rest of our broadcasts.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM.